Okay, welcome back. I have a very interesting video today that I think a lot of people will be very happy about when it comes to tournaments and gameplay and just being able to have more people play the games on the arcade machines. I think a lot of people are going to be happy about this. And what this is that a number of videos back I showcased this adapter board that allows you to use NES controllers to play your JAMA game. So this would plug onto your board, your JAMA harness would plug onto here, you plug in your NES controllers and you can use this to play all your games. If you have a super gun or a test bench and you're building a test bench and you don't want to have to build a big control panel, all that kind of stuff, this just interfaces with the board and the JAMA harness, plug your controllers in, and you can use your NES controller to play the game. I think button 1 was B, button 2 was A, and button 3 was select. And any standard JAMA game just has 3 buttons. So the maker of this decided that, well, he also has a number of these that are used for the CPS 1, 2, 3 games, and those all use 6 buttons, but he got a number of requests to make some for Mortal Kombat, and he has obliged those people. I don't think that they're actually available yet. They may be. I need to go to, you can get all the information right here on arcadeadapters.com. And what this is that I don't know if these are prototypes, if they're available yet. I haven't looked, but they may be. He sent these to me. The maker of these sent these to me to test out and review. And what these are is these will allow you to play your 6-button MK games. Well, 5 for MK 1, 2, 3, and then 6 of course. 5 for 1 and 2, and 6 for 3 and 4. But basically, yeah, it has the kick harness adapter connections here, and this one is for the 6-button Sega Genesis controller, and this one here is for the Super Nintendo controller. So as you can see, yeah, Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. Now, I think he had to use different interface chips here, because you can see these gals here versus this chip, but yeah. Otherwise, they're the same. Sorry, I got a frog in the throat there. So, let's go over the way these work. Obviously, you plug in your controller here to, let's go player 1 over here. And you got your standard Super Nintendo controller. Now, the way this works is there's a couple of selections here. If you look here, you've got MK1, 2 and MK3, 4. So you have it over here for MK1 and 2, and over here for MK3 and 4. However, if you have the T unit for MK1, you're going to want to put it over to this side and use the 12-pin connectors. If you have MK2, 3, and 4, even though this actually says MK1 and 2, MK2 still uses the 15-pin connectors over here that 3 and 4 use. So you want to leave it on 3 and 4. If you're using MK2, 3, or 4, you want to leave it on MK3, 4. The only time you'd ever switch this over to here is if you're using the Y unit 12-pin connectors. So we just leave it on, well, you leave it on 3 and 4 for now. Now this over here, you can see JAMA bin 1, 2, and 3. Button 1, button 2, button 3 configuration is Y, L, and X. What that means is you got button 1 is Y, button 2 is X, and button 3 will be L. So that's how that's configured. If you move the switch over to here, to that side, it's button 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. So depending on which way you have this, so let's say you're playing, you know, Double Dragon or some other JAMA game that only uses 2 or 3 buttons. You'd want to have it on this selection so you could just do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But for this selection over here, you'd want it for the MK game. So you'd have button 1, button 2 for block, and then button 3 for high kick. So that's what this selection here does. So for our purposes, we're going to want to leave it on this selection. So this selection here, and then this over here for MK3 and 4, because we're going to be using this in the multi-MK, and I have a T unit in there, so we're going to be using these connectors for 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's how that works. So all that's left to do now that we have it configured properly is to, I got two controllers here. All that's left to do now is to get it in the machine and test it out. And it did come with 2 connectors here. Obviously this would be for the 12-pin connector for if you have a T unit MK1. And then this is the one that comes with it for your pass-through for your MK2, 3, and 4. And the way this works is you can, let me zoom back in here. You've got a pass-through connection, and this is the connection for the actual PCB. So what you would do is you would plug this one onto here and then plug this onto your PCB. Then you would take the connector that's on the PCB and plug it into here. So what that will allow you to do is that will allow you to, let's say player one, let's say you have friends over and you want to play MK on the arcade cabinet. And they're no good at all with the joystick and the buttons. They have no idea how to play on the sticks. They're only good on pads. Well, now this will allow you to do that. Player one can play on the joystick and the buttons. Player two can play with the pad, or vice versa. So now you're able to have tournaments, have people over, much more, better ability to have more people play the machine that otherwise wouldn't be able to because they're no good with buttons and sticks. Now you have the option or opportunity to use the actual pads. So you can have both players play pads, both players play sticks, or one or the other. This really opens up the versatility to allow that to happen. So yeah, this will plug onto your PCB connector will plug onto here, and now you can play simultaneously with the sticks and the buttons and the pads. So yeah, let's get this plugged in. I'm probably going to plug it in on, well, I don't know if I want to use the multi-MK because I would have to manually swap this. No, I wouldn't. I can plug this directly onto the switcher. And then I can unplug. Well, no, this won't reach to all the boards. No. I think what we'll have to do is we'll use the multi-MK because it's easier for me to pull out from the wall and get to. But we'll just use it on one or two of the games and not all of them. There's no reason to show it on all of them. We'll just pick, let's say, we can pick, we'll play by ear when we get to that point. But anyway, so here's what this is. They do come with comprehensive instructions, and it talks about the settings here for the MK games versus the standard JAMA connections or standard JAMA games. Yeah, and so it's got the game selection, the button layout, coin on-off. I didn't talk about that. Coin on-off is another switch over here. If you want to use the select button for coins, you know, excellent. You can have the switch set to on or off. So you can add coins from here by having that on. So that's another added bonus as well. So yeah, both of them come with comprehensive instructions. And the only difference between these two is this one uses the 6-button Sega Genesis controllers, and this one uses the Super Nintendo. Otherwise, they're basically the same thing. So yeah, if you wanted to use Sega Genesis controllers for MK, now you can. So let's get this plugged in to the machine and test it out and see how awesome this is in action. Okay, here we are inside the multi-MK machine. The only board that I had sufficient room to really hook this up on was the OG MK3 board. MK4 has the tie-down point right there, and MK3 is limited on space between the connector and the tie-down. I may be able to fit it on there, but I can serve the purpose of demonstration by just using MK3. I'd like to go ahead and hook it up to MK1 here because I think I have room with MK1. I may use MK1 as another example for a 5-button versus a 6-button game, but you can see here we have it hooked up between the JAMA harness and the board. We have the SNES controllers hooked up, and we have the main ribbon cable that runs to the distribution block from that's the connector from the control panel. This is the distribution block, and the connector that runs from here to MK3 is now plugged in to the correct connector there, which is the pass-through, and the main connector that comes with the adapter runs over to the board. So that's how it's hooked up. We're all set up and correct on our switches, our switchology. Easy for me to say switchology is correct. Our harnesses are correct. Everything's hooked up and ready to go. So let's test it out and see what it looks like and how it works. Okay. Right now I just have the controllers coming out through the coin door. I don't want to have them under the control panel and getting snagged. As a matter of fact, probably the opportune place to do it would have it come out like in a corner or something, so the wires don't get smashed too badly. That's probably the ideal, like have it come out right there and have it come out right there. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to do it this way. Sorry about the bad lighting. I'm not a professional. not a professional at all. But check it out. Let's see how we can make this look here. So, player one. I will say that L and R are backwards. This is block and this is run. All growing up playing this game on Super Nintendo, I always set it to where block was R and run was L. It's just easier that way, but it's backwards. This is block and this is R. There's no real way to change it that I'm aware of, unless maybe, no, that wouldn't work because block is part of jamming. There's no way to switch it from how I can tell. So you have to just get used to block and run versus block and run. But anyway, so if we hit start, not fast enough.
Outstanding. Round one, fight.
Gotta get used to it.
Night Wolf wins. Round two, fight.
Got it. All right. It didn't take me long to get that backwards, so this is run, and this is block. So I'm just so used to this being blocked, so it would take some getting used to, but at least you can play on a pad. And not only can you play on the pad, but set the pad down, the sticks and buttons work as well. So, for instance, if I hit high punch here, so it's very versatile. This will unlock, no pun intended, a lot of other options for people to be able to play on the arcade game with pads now. I can't. There we go. So,
flawless victory. Round two, fight.
Well, there you go. Let's, just for shits and grins, let's try MK1. So I'm going to turn the machine off, change the setup over to MK1, come back on, we'll play a couple of rounds with MK1, just see how that works out with just the 5-button configuration. Alright, so MK1's up and running. I will not be able to use player 2 because the way the PCBs are mounted inside the machine, I can't get the adapter plugged in with the number 2 controller connected to the adapter because it sticks out too far, hits the soundboard. So I'm only going to be able to use player 1, but that's okay. We already know player 2 works from watching MK3 there. So here's MK1. I'm curious to know if this will still be block or if it'll default to this one because it's not a 6-button. If it defaults to this one, that'd be awesome because it'd be a lot easier for me to play. So here we go. Start. There's the coin. And just to test it, we'll go ahead and hit the regular button here on the control panel to select, let's go left, Johnny Cage.
Johnny Cage. Fight.
Yes! Oh, well, it does it momentarily. Yeah, darn it. Block is still L. Oh. But if I hit R, it does block momentarily. But it doesn't stay blocking. Oh, well.
Johnny Cage wins. Fight.
I try to get two heads with this.
Fatality.
Well, there you go. Pretty awesome setup. If you want to have people over, let's go into the menu here. If you want to have people over that want to play MK on the arcade machine and don't have any idea how to play on the sticks, now you have another option here. So I'll leave a link down below to the website where you can acquire these if they're available. And I'll give the feedback to the person who designed and made these. Make sure you give them props because this is a fantastic product. So it works right out of the gate. Didn't have to do anything to it. Very well designed, very well made, very well constructed, good quality parts, and it works perfectly. So yeah, I'm impressed with it. And if you need this as an option for you, maybe you want to play on the arcade and you're not as good on the sticks and buttons as you are with the controllers, you can now use the controllers. So if you want to use the Sega Genesis one, get yourself one of those. And then Super Nintendo, get yourself one of those. And if you have a test rig and you want to just use 3 buttons, you can get one of these as well, or the regular Nintendo one. Use a Nintendo controller. It's up to you. But a lot of different options. He's also got the CPS 123 version, I believe. So very, very good stuff. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps you out, and I appreciate it. Stay tuned for more. I got, believe it or not, in the garage right now I have 3 more cabinets that I'm getting ready to convert to other projects. One of them I'm sure you already know about, I posted, but yeah, I have 3 machines in the garage that are getting converted and restored to original stuff, so stay tuned for that. Just waiting on various parts and pieces. So otherwise, yeah, thanks. Like, share, and subscribe if you want, and I appreciate it.